Hello, my name is Sky, and I have a message for the U.S. military. I was a sergeant in the U.S. Army. I served for 5 years. I never deployed. But I was around people who had deployed, and I was around people who had not deployed. And I know what being in the military does to a person. I know what being in combat does to a person, and I know what being under pain, suffering pain, your body falling apart does to a person. For people who had not deployed but were following the Army regular physical fitness routine of usually like an hour workout every day, and that included running as well as push-ups, sit-ups, other cardiovascular, I started seeing how you had people just from whatever normal regular exercise routines just start developing injuries. They're trying to keep up with the stronger people, or they're trying to do things which other people can do well, and thinking that, well, I just have to push myself, and if I push myself, I will achieve and I will get there. And the result is stress fractures, strains, pulled ligaments, muscles, torn, you name it. And it was difficult for these people to recover or heal in some cases because not everybody's body is the same. Not everybody can work out the same. Not everybody heals the same. And as a result, I saw a lot of people who were in chronic pain. And by chronic pain, I myself experienced that with my feet. It's just constant discomfort. You can't get comfortable. You can't, you try to adjust yourself. You try to just find a way to just alleviate the pain. But the thing is, you have to work. In these long shifts, 8 hours, 12 hours, in cramped quarters, around other people, machines whirring around you, you name it, all sorts of just stressors which are added to you. And that's not including when you have people who have personality conflicts, people who they rub you the wrong way, which a lot of those in the military. The people who are suffering the pain, it changes their minds. It changes their ability to relate to other people. It can even make somebody like childlike or childish in how they act, how they react, how they interact with other people. I would see this with young enlisted soldiers, senior NCOs, a little bit less with officers, but that's a whole other story. For people who have gone to combat and with the risk of PTSD, the research seems to be indicating that it's the loud explosions which are shaking up people, shaking up their bodies and especially the brains inside of their skulls, causing damage, especially to the frontal cortex. And this affects the ability to think, rationalize, to handle stress. And when you think about a combat situation with rocket-propelled grenades, missiles, bazookas, landmines, IEDs, you name it, going off around you, it's a lot of explosions. And when you have people just running around and just being exposed to this, they have to perform. They have to do what's needed to survive, to keep their fellow military service members alive. And I'm thinking that the U.S. military may want to adopt a policy where in the after-action report of each mission, ask the Marine, the soldier, whoever, okay, what happened and how do you feel? But more importantly, ask, was there any loud explosions? Did anything explode near you? I can give the example of Black Hawk Down and how the one, basically the guy who was the office guy because he could type, and then he finds himself involved in the mission and gets blown up 5 times. But he wasn't technically blown up, but it's RPGs kept exploding next to the guy. I can imagine that guy is going to have a lot of problems today, and I think that's the same for a lot of other soldiers and Marines as well. I'm of the opinion that what if the U.S. military tried a policy of you ask all the soldiers, Marines, whoever, okay, was there any explosions that went off and who was near them. And so of all those who say, that was me, take those guys aside and basically say, okay, you're on 24-hour recovery. And take them to a place, either a distant fire base or the center of a base, the center of the green zone, someplace where you more or less know there's not going to be any problems, or they're, safe from mortar rounds or who knows what. And just tell them, okay, for 24 hours, be in PTs, light, clothing, nothing constrictive, just relax, and just sit there. Don't talk to anybody. Read. Don't exercise. When you're hungry, go eat, but just don't feel you have to talk, because talking will lead to stress. Talking leads to thinking, and thinking leads to stress, that sort of thing. And don't do exercise. Don't do exercise. Don't stress yourself. Don't push yourself to any limit. Don't feel that there's any responsibility on you either. Don't think about stress. Because in my opinion, you want the service member to recover in the most optimum way, and that is in a relaxed, letting the body do what it's going to do, and that's recover. That's heal itself. And it can't do that if the brain is saying, no, we have to work. We have another mission to go on. We have more explosions to expose, the body to. I know this may not be the most practical sounding idea, but I'm not liking how these problems of post-traumatic stress and even fratricide and insubordination and dereliction of duty continue to happen in the U.S. military. It reflects poorly upon all of us, not just the military service members, but the nation as well. And it's not through anybody's fault per se, it's just the stresses of combat, of war. And I think that we got to do the best we can to try to minimize these stresses and the effects that all this combat is having on people. And I just, that's the best I can think of is, 24 hours, let a person relax, not worry about being in the military, not worry about anything else. Just let them sit in a tent and just, recover. At the end of the 24 hours, go back, rejoin the unit, and go drive on, get back into the fight. But for that time being, let them relax, let them not think about combat, let them not worry about what is potentially going to kill them. Because that's adding the stress, and when you have the stress, cortisol levels are off, and your body's not going to heal back the way it was. Your body's healing in combat mode, and so that's why you're stuck in combat mode. But that's my opinion. And if anything, maybe even start teaching, Tai Chi, a meditative exercise, to all the military service members. It's also something you can do when you're, stuck indoors and don't have a lot of room to move around in. So, and it can help with balance as well. So, but these are just some things I've been thinking about, and I think that the U.S. military needs to address how much pain people are experiencing and enduring, and what that pain is doing to the mental faculties of military service members, and how that's degrading the military effectiveness of senior, experienced, amazing soldiers and Marines and airmen and sailors who, years of training, years of experience, all this expertise they can bring and share with younger people, and they can't because mentally they've screwed themselves up or been screwed up from the combat, that they can't relate, they can't just do normal things. And something needs to be done. Thank you.